We're all in business for a reason. The problem that so many small business owners have is they go in 10 million different directions, not really sure which way to go. Listen as your team of experts, Jennifer Glass and Patricia Reszetylo, go through what you need in your business to really make it stand out and benefit you. Because it's the bottom line that matters. Hello and welcome to another episode of It's the Bottom Line That Matters podcast, where we are dedicated to your success. If this is the first time you're checking us out, thank you so much for listening. If you're a continuing listener, thank you so much for following us for so long. If you have been listening to our episodes for the last couple of times, you've been hearing ideas that Patricia and I have been throwing out to you on ways that you can use major advertising platforms in a hyper-localized fashion to help you in your business. We went through things like using Google Business Profiles, using reviews, using streaming services, using micro-influencers to really help you in getting people into your business. Today, we're going to be focusing on outdoor billboards and using public relations or PR to drive people to know more about you. So Patricia, let me ask you, and I'm going to pick on you again. Unfortunately, Daniel isn't doing these shows anymore, so it's always got to be one of us being picked on here. So if we think about using outdoor billboards, obviously sometimes the billboards can be silly, they can be serious, they can be quirky, they can be informative, they can be interesting even. I remember one time I was driving down a highway and I had to actually grab a picture of it. I happened to be sitting in traffic, let's just say that. It was not moving traffic, but it was during the winter. I remember that, and the billboard was a bunch of penguins, and it said current temperature is this, and the temperature in Orlando is that. Obviously, you know what they were trying to market.
Well, and that you could even have real-time temperature displays on something like that if you wanted to. The temperature here is 40 degrees. Orlando is 80. Whatever,
That's
right?
exactly what the billboard was. It was one of those electronic billboards.
I love it.
Yes.
Oh. And then you have some means of connecting them with you, whether that's a text keyword or maybe a great big old QR code, which would work if it was big enough.
Or a memorable URL. Because again, a QR code and a text code, you may not necessarily have the time if you're driving at speed,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
there's ways though that you can remember at least a
yeah.
web address, right? I mean, on the radio, you hear all the time, visit us at whatever, for those of us that are
Yeah.
still listening to terrestrial radio. But when we
Oh,
think about, though, billboards in local businesses, how do you think you would be driving that kind of interest if you were looking at your restaurant or your marketing service?
yeah. So you'd have to find a good hook for a restaurant. Um,
I think if you're a steakhouse, as an example, you simply show a picture of a sizzling steak. Now, you're not going to have the crackling that you would in traditional media. But,
right.
if you think about that, or when you look at any restaurant that has pictures of the food, especially Chinese restaurants, they normally have a, display of what some of the food looks like, or pizza places.
Yeah,
So you can
yeah,
easily have this stylized picture. Now,
yeah.
again, we're not going to go into what that stuff is made from. That's a different story altogether. But when you think about, though, that kind of ad, you can certainly do that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and that is where, that's the first thing that I would consider doing. And you have the restaurant name and you have some kind of simple direction to it. Myself, I would have a simple URL, like we said, and I would also probably have a just because. Well, it'd be worth testing to see if the QR code would do anything. But yeah. Um, and the other thing that you need to that you keep in consideration with having a billboard, especially for a restaurant, is again your Google review is probably your Google My Business is going to do a lot more for you than this, but it could work in conjunction for it with it. So you have the signage out far enough, um, and then people see it, and then they have time enough to Google it, get the directions, and before they've passed the turn off, oh wait, we needed to turn 2 miles back there. Yeah, you give enough space so that they can look it up and get the directions.
Right. And certainly, though, if you're a left exit business, make sure that's pretty clear on any signage that you do, because very often people are not thinking I got to exit on the left. It's usually
Yeah,
exit on the right. For those of us
yeah,
in the, that drive on this side of the road, if you're on the other side of the road, of course, you know what I'm saying, to
yeah,
the converse. But
yeah,
when we think about, though, the billboards, like you said, there's a lot of value in the billboards. There's ways that we can come up with some sort of copy that goes on there. The one thing, though, that really gets me every single time I drive by, and here in northern New Jersey, there's a ton of personal injury attorney ads on billboards. Some of them are literally just the firm's name. That's it. I'm like, and what exactly am I supposed to reach you for? Now, I know the guy is a law firm, but some people don't even necessarily know that he is, or that his firm, and it's a pretty big firm, that they do, that they're at least a law firm. But when we think, though, of the ads, it just has the person's picture. Maybe it's a couple of people that are in the ad, and it's got the firm's name, it's got the phone number. And the problem with that is, unless I'm actually going to uh, the particular place and I know that this is the firm I'm going to, I have absolutely no idea about how I'm supposed to reach you, because I'm not going to remember your phone number just because the phone number is there, especially if it's not
yeah.
one of the ones that are really, really easy. I mean, one of the things here, there's a couple of firms that are eights, some of them are fours. And so it's easy to remember, right? If a firm says, call us at this area code 4444444, I know I'm not going to forget that number. And the funny thing is, when I've run into one of the partners and he's like, do you know how to reach us? I'm like, dial the area code 4444444. And I said, in this area code, that area code, another area code, another area code. And by the way, do you have more area codes that you maybe have in terms of what it is that you're actually doing? Because when
That's
it
actually a
comes
good
down to it,
strategy. Yeah, that's a good
yes,
strategy. You make it easy. It's all fours. Look at that. Oh, it's my area code. Yeah, okay.
right.
And you just
And so it's
dial.
really easy when you have that kind of an idea in terms of getting that billboard value from what it is that you're actually doing. But Patricia,
Yeah.
let's switch over, though, in because we're running out of time on our episode today. So if we switch over to not the billboards anymore, but we look at PR, how can we use localized PR in a way that's going to still drive the kind of value that we're ultimately looking for?
Yeah, so I don't have much experience with actually doing PR. My experience has all been based on stuff that was done 30 years ago, and it didn't seem to work when I tried it. So I'm open here.
So I will tell you, when you think about PR and you look at getting media in a localized fashion, first of all, there's localized, really like community local, and there's regional local. Here in the greater New York City metro area, I have the greater New York City metro media, right? And all of the stations here happen to be network owned, right? ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, they're all network owned because it's the New York market. And of course, they're not going to have the affiliates running that. But when you think about that media, I can go after the local, as an example, NBC station, and I can say, I want to do something with the local NBC station. Now, if I'm looking at going through the greater New York metro media market, which is from the southwestern part of Connecticut through, give or take, a third of the way upstate New York, all of Long Island, most of New Jersey down the shore, and then into eastern Pennsylvania. That is the New York City metro market. Now, if I'm looking at selling something or putting something out there in that market, that would be one way that I can do it. But there's other resources that are out there even more for local media. There's platforms like Patch, Daily Voice, and again, I don't know if these are available all over the place where you are too, but you can certainly look up if you do have a local version. There's also local versions of specific mass market media. As an example, if you happen to be shopping, and I'm just going to throw it out one magazine, this particular publication is Natural Awakenings. And by the way, Natural Awakenings, if you want to sponsor our show, please reach out. So if you think about Natural Awakenings, they're published all over the place. But the difference is they have people who are selling local ads and printing the version that's local to you. And so if you find that particular publication where you are, let's say like Patricia, you are up in Minnesota. You're not going to see a New York, New Jersey business that is advertising there that's a local restaurant. But you will
Right.
find local Minnesota restaurants to where you are. And so that is another way that you can use PR to get that kind of local value. There's also in a lot of places local papers that are specifically about your community. Here in northern New Jersey, there are several local papers. In my county alone, there's probably about 20, 25 local papers out of a county of 70 towns, right? Some papers are just one or two towns, some are a lot more towns. In the town where I am, I think it's 4 or 5 towns that are part of this local paper. So if I wanted to get really local, I can advertise in that paper. Or instead of advertising, I can actually get an article written about me in that publication. And then there's also niche publications, right? Think about publications that maybe are related to your school, your kid's school, your synagogue, your church, your mosque, whatever it may be. There are a lot of publications that are specifically geared toward a particular niche. If you can find some of those niche publications, very often they're looking for content also. Now, they're not going to take a blatant ad and say, sure, put the article in, and it's a blatant ad for you, not without giving them the ad money, but they will take helpful information from you. They will take stories about events maybe that you did and you want to get out there. And so there's ways that you can certainly get there and help. And it's certainly, if you're opening up a brand new business like Patricia's restaurant, you can certainly use these publications to say, check us out. Our ribbon cutting, our grand opening is going to be Saturday, January 10th, whatever it is. And come, visit us, free giveaways, free food, whatever it may be. And that's a great way to get the media to know more about you. So, Patricia, let me ask you again, like we've done the last couple of times, as we wrap it up, any thoughts that you got hearing about some of these ideas that can really start generating ideas for you? Because I want our listeners to get that same kind of idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One thought was that in a market like New York City market, there's all these little niche neighborhoods. Um, I don't know most of the little boroughs names, but and it might even be smaller than that. There might be, a newsletter that goes out and it's just like, a 3 block area. Because New York City it's so huge and the little neighborhoods are just so tightly ingrained in itself. Um, so you might look for things like that too. Yeah.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of publications like you mentioned. I'll throw one out there. The Village Voice, as an example, for Greenwich Village. Time
Yeah.
Out is another one that started out as a local publication, I believe, down in the village as well. So there's a lot of things along those lines that are certainly there that you can be using. So on behalf of Patricia and I, we want you to really think about what it is that you are doing in your business. What are you thinking about? How are you looking at using national media or national marketing campaigns to get the hyper localized value that you are seeking? On that note, this has been another episode of It's the Bottom Line That Matters. And until next time, here is to your success. Thanks so much for listening to another amazing episode of It's the Bottom Line That Matters podcast. We're all about helping the small business community grow and reaching as many people as we can. And the algorithms on the podcast programs love reviews. So if you loved what you just heard, consider leaving us a review. And even if you don't, I'm sure you already did, but consider sharing our episodes and our podcast with your friends and colleagues. Sharing is caring, and here's to your success. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful day. It's the bottom line.